you love entertainment, current events, and Hollywood, don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Rourke from Los Angeles, California.
Elaine,
Thanks
it's
for having
in
me.
the house. Absolutely. Thank you for coming on the show. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
And yeah, thank you for coming back. Always a great conversation. I love your new single. But for those that don't know about, you, for those listeners out there, please introduce yourself. Kind of tell me a little bit about your childhood and coming into music and where you are now.
So born in New York, grew up in Los Angeles with just my mom and my sister. My music, it's been a project that's started 8 years ago. I started recording music in my spare time, writing protest songs to what's been happening in the country on a variety of issues. And I would record with this, excuse me, with a producer here in Los Angeles in his studio on my spare time. So one week it could be 3 hours in the studio, one week it could be 9 hours in the studio. And I had to stop during COVID because my main job is working with restaurants and all my money went out the window. So I finally got the album done and the full album is out. The current single, It's My Time, is more of it's not as much political as it is about facing your own demons and looking at yourself in the mirror and trying to find a better path forward, which I think could apply politically too and socially if people are making wrong decisions in that context. So in the album, it's like the one song that tries to find a path forward through all the darkness in the air.
Yeah, and I think it's always refreshing to hear, artists making music that uplifts us, like kind of gets us out of our funk. I think a lot of people around the world are feeling the residuals of just politically what's going on in the world. So we need some type of escapism. So yeah, thank you for making something that is and it's actually very different. I like it. I like it a lot. I listen
Well,
to it.
thanks.
The production is so, I mean, it's amazing. It's beautiful. What inspired um that song in particular to be the single to say, this is the one I'm gonna really promote. It's my time. Well, the also the title and stuff.
Well, I mean, the whole seed that started this journey for me was just the negativity, in our climate, our political and social climate. That's been my response. Like, I Can't Breathe wasn't necessarily inspired by George Floyd or Elijah McClain or Eric Gardner. It was inspired by the racist responses to the Black Lives Matter protests. So, like, when I inspired with music, it's like almost as a response to something negative. So this one, the whole project began because of all the negativity, and this song is just me finding light in this all the darkness. And a lot of the songs on my album have darker themes, but I still try to find like a sense of hope and positivity. Like I Can't Breathe is a pretty dark subject matter, but I still put the outro in at the end that has a sense of hope. Like someday things will be better.
Do you really think so? Like when you think about just like, I mean, honestly, you gotta, it's all we can do is hope, right? And pray that things do change. But when you do look around in society, social media, it's just really sad to me, like of like how like when I think about how we got here. as a whole. It's
Hmm.
very disheartening,
I think
unfortunately.
technology has really rewired human beings in this century. Um,
Mm.
Social media algorithms are really doing damage to us. We get hypnotized by seeing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and people are just getting stuck in echo chambers. There's no context, there's no nuance to any subject matter now. Everything's black and white. One of my songs on the album is about fake news. It's called Between
Mm-hmm.
the Lines, and there's a line in it. Remember when King had a dream? Now it's just a Facebook meme. So
Oh,
everything's been shortened to just like tweets and memes and little Instagram posts, and it really that's why I think we're seeing so many issues today.
yeah.
So it's
What
really going to take like a lot of work to get people out of this space.
out of this like trance, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
and it's not just one side or the other. I mean, both sides are,
hmm
you know, victim of what's been done to us.
yeah.
We're our minds are lazy now.
Oh yeah.
I'm lazier than I used to be. In the '90s, I used to read The Economist every month, like every page, and I don't do that anymore. So
Mm,
I think a lot of people in general, except for like some high intellectuals, don't fall into that category. But I think society as a general, we've all become lazy. We have ADHD. We just spend too much time looking at tweets by people who are not qualified to talk on certain subjects. So
yeah, yeah. Was there ever a moment when you almost like gave up on the album? Like what, like of like, I don't think I'm
no,
gonna.
because it was my in my heart, in my gut, I've always been an artist, not a business guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've made money in my career, but my passion has always been creativity and art. My original passion was filmmaking. I started studying film when I was 13. Would study all the great French films and French critics and Italian and Japanese and American, and that was my passion. And I saw the film industry change, and people as a whole, get less intellectual and less artistic over the years, and so and with film, it's I've had opportunities to make some feature films, but there's so many people involved and there's so many opinions and everybody wants to change this part of the story, this part of the story. I mean, I almost got a film made about the worst year of my life. Like,
Oh,
and everything was fact. And like the producer at Paramount was going to let me direct it, like this and that. And then he's just like, well, we got to get rid of this character. And I'm like,
oh,
why do you have to get rid of this character? I mean, because I've
yeah.
done audience studies, and the character he wanted to get rid of was a psychiatrist. And I'm like, and
Mm,
he said like audiences don't respond to psychiatrists. I'm like, well, what about Analyze This? What about Good Will Hunting? What about The Sopranos, where like six characters have a psychiatrist?
right.
And it's just so I kind of stepped back from film because it just takes too many people to see my vision through. And with music, I'm the boss. I mean, I
Right.
as long as I pay my producer and pay for the studio time and pay for session players and pay the drummer, they're gonna do what I want the way I want. So
Hmm.
that's why I never gave up on music, and I just took my time with it. And it was new for me. I mean, the first time I went to record, I didn't know what I was doing. I was so amateur that I ended up spending so much more money because I couldn't keep time. I hired a vocal coach, but I still wasn't happy with my vocals in the beginning, so I kept changing and working on it. And I've never been one to like give up on anything. So,
I love
and
that.
I think the topics that I'm writing about, I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
So, that's what keeps me going. Is like the reason I wrote the songs. 400 years of Black oppression, or you know, Donald Trump's bullying in my song Rise, with Michelle Obama's, words, when they go low, we rise. I change it to when they go low, we rise. So
Yeah.
that's what keeps me going.
I love that. And to your point of like to touch on what you said about film and just how there's so many, hats and people that want to be the boss. I think it's interesting because, nowadays I mean, it's crazy. Like a lot of people are always saying, "Oh, I want to break down the door. I want to do this. I want to change this." And it's like if there's a system that works, they're not going to change the system that works. That's why Hollywood's been around for forever. It's like just create your own door. It's like why do we have to change something that's already existing when we could just have our own table instead of being in the club of the club. Um,
Right.
I don't know. I just think it's that I think that's that because when like it's like the guy that did Backrooms and the indie filmmaker who did Obsession, you know, they are very indie and then they get on, but I'm sure like I was reading about just the changes that they had to go through and the like it doesn't become it's not theirs anymore. It's everyone's because it's a business, unfortunately. And I think a lot of people think, yeah, we could be creative and freedom of creativity in Hollywood. It's like that's just not how, unfortunately, it
Right.
goes. Uh yeah, I think that's one of those things like I think music has just more of a freedom to it, like you said, than, hiring like a bunch of like all these people and it's like t playing telephone. It just completely changes the message at the end. Like you get to the last person, you're like, whoa, what just happened? I started out with good intentions and then it just like so
Right.
I totally know what you mean. It's just really unfortunate. Um, you said song encourages people to make better decisions. Uh, like what decisions in your life inspired that message for you?
Um, I've always been since since I was a child, driven to stand up for underdogs, in the world. And the reason for that is my mother was the ultimate underdog. Um, my father left when I was a baby, left me and my mom and my sister. He didn't send her money, alimony, child support, never called. So she was just stuck with two kids. In addition to that, she was deathly ill like my entire life from the time I was like 6, 7 years old. When I was 9, she got breast cancer. When I was in my first week of college, she had a major stroke. I had to put her in my car and drive her to emergency room. Cancer at second. I mean, so she's always been fighting and always been an underdog. And on top of that, she was bullied pretty viciously growing up by her older brother. When she was a child, when she was 10, when she was 12, up into adulthood, he just and he was her older brother, and he was an emotional sadist who just really ruthlessly bullied her. And the
Mm,
older I got, the more I became aware of that. And so I've always been one, even as a child, to like, it started like with sticking up for my mother. If there was somebody, a landlord, we had a landlord when she was sick trying to like extort money or he was going to throw us out when she was just out
wow.
of the hospital, things like that. Or if there were neighbors that were trying to like bully her or, fight with her. I mean, I was always there like fighting. So
Yeah.
I've always, in my heart, been drawn to like standing up and voicing for underdogs in the world.
I love that. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, close proximity growing up in that, right? And then also, it does kind of make you just want to stand up for everyone at that point as you like, it's like, because, kudos to your mom for surviving all that. Like that takes a strong person and not everybody can survive those kind of things. So, I always say, it's good to, I come from a strong, foundation as well. And I think that has helped me as far as like in my career. And I've definitely tapped into it the more I got older. Because I've always said the thing to my mom, like, how do you do this? How can you still get up after going through the most horrific time of your life and reinvent yourself? And then as I got older, I'm like, oh, it's like somehow automatically start I have that. So I know what you mean. I'm super grateful for that, especially in the business that we're in, because it's unfortunately a very this industry can very it can be bully-ish, it can be um down to like from the
Every
message.
industry, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's yeah. Even like some activists, even if they're on my side of the aisle now, they're they've turned into bullies. They've taken a message. They've taken a hint from like the extreme right, and now they're bullying people, which I think is wrong. I just think
Mhm.
you know, um, probably because social media, because it's clickbait to bully somebody and be mean to somebody and be cruel to somebody. They get clicks and they make more money. That's how
Which is
they have a
crazy.
yeah, yeah,
So we live in a time of sensationalism. People just like to
yeah.
just it,
And
uh
they do it for various reasons. Some people do it to belong, just
mm,
to maybe they were just not popular as a kid and they just want to feel like they're part of a group. Some people make money on it. That's like you look at Instagram and Twitter, these people make money by clickbait, you know.
yeah.
That's the
Do you
world we live in, clickbait.
clickbait world? And that's
Yeah.
sad, It's like the and it's not changing, unfortunately, right now. It's yeah. The machine has created, it was something I was watching something and it was like I think it was either Maya Angelou or someone talking about just how, you know, the like the machine, it's literally it just keeps going and we have to unplug at some point or we'll get infected. It's like, it's so important to because it's so powerful. And it's
Mhm.
it's it's not stopping. I don't know who started it, but it's like it's a brilliant idea. It's like we're in the Matrix almost, but yeah, that's a whole nother story. But what responsibility do you think that artists have when speaking about social or political? Like, do you think that artists have a responsibility to
Um,
speak truth?
I don't think they have a responsibility, but I think people that make hundreds of millions of dollars and some people over a billion, it's I wouldn't say a maybe a moral responsibility to like stand up, especially in the times we're in. It's not like the 80s where it was like, Reagan versus like Tip O'Neill or the 70s with Nick. I mean, these times we're in are a lot different. We have like people like protecting like the Epstein files, things like that. We have, an insurrection, a violent insurrection against our country that seems like people just have moved on and it's not a big deal to a lot of people. And so I think times are a little different and we have the US government doing things that it's never done before. So I would hope more people that make more money would speak up, you know. I think smaller artists that are just getting started, they
Yeah.
probably want to be a little more careful. My producer, when I first started working on my album, he urged me like not to go political with my stuff.
Mm,
Just because he loved my music. He just said, just do something generic. And
yeah.
I'm like, that's not who I am. I'm not watermelon sugar. like, like pay attention, listen up. This is what's going on. I'm more public enemy than
Yeah.
anything. So
I love that.
like a rock and roll version of Public Enemy.
I like it. I like that actually. And it takes honestly, you know, a lot of people do get conform and they feel like, oh, okay, well, I gotta make some music like, for lack of a better artist, a Cardi B, or I gotta make some mindless music or something that is just entertaining or generic, like you said, like, that's gonna just get the masses. But like you feel deep down, like yourself, like people that feel like there's more, like they have something to how to reach people, to say a message, feel
Yeah.
like I you just feel like you sold your soul in a way when you do it. You're like, it's not me. It's like it's not who I am. And
Well,
that's perfectly okay.
I've got guys from two of the biggest rock bands in the world on my album. Foo Fighters and Guns N' Roses, and neither one will share my music because they don't want to like piss off any right wing fans. So they choose to not say anything. And
Huh.
I have a standalone single that's not on the album, but that's coming out in 2 weeks. It's actually a new version of a song I did before about two 4-year-old boys that died in the Gaza war. Um, so that's, people don't want to get involved in that because they feel like no matter what side you're on that topic, like you're on the wrong
Yeah.
side, and
Mm,
people are gonna find fault with you. And my position is, you should stand with every child everywhere, regardless of if they're in Gaza, the West Bank, Israel, Tehran, New York, wherever. I mean, children are children, and that's
hmm.
what you should set aside the hate and just be compassionate for children. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
It's interesting. It's an interesting time.
in this
Um,
day and age, hate travels faster than compassion, unfortunately.
unfortunately, unfortunately, because I feel like a lot of people, because they feel like they have to, like you said, there's people that don't want to share because they don't want to get involved in that. But it's like, is that really freedom though? So are we actually creating music? When I think about people as a whole, like anyone, any creative doing, whether it's music, film, are we creating to be a part of the club, or are we creating to actually reach people and actually, I guess that depends on what your message is and what you want to, what your thing is, because I notice like a lot of people when they get signed or anything, it's just like they completely change up. It's like, but they weren't this person before. Like when they were
Hmm.
indie, they were really, I don't know, different mindset.
Yeah, I think money talks.
Money
Mm,
talks,
you know, and
unfortunately.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, music. You don't want to be inundated with like heavy issues. It should be like personal, artistic stories. And the first song I ever completed with all the music parts, with all the lyrics, was a ballad about a long distance relationship I had, which hopefully I record on a second album. But I just felt a need to just zero in on like some of the issues that our country was going through, like in the first term 8 years ago. So
Yeah.
that was more important to me. But I don't want to, I'm not going to, I don't want to be like, if I have success with this, I don't want to be known as like, oh, a political artist. I want to do other
Mm.
types of
Other
music
stuff
and,
too. Yeah.
yeah, other genres, and just, do some personal stories and, lighter stuff. I want to do I want to do an EP of
Nice.
for dogs, like 5 songs on different dogs I had, and then just give that and donate the money to like a dog rescue or something,
That's awesome.
So, as you can tell, I love my dogs. That's that.
I love that. If Starstruck were released 10 years from now, what message would you still, I guess, resonate with? What message do you hope listeners will resonate with from that?
I mean, hopefully, if 10 years from now, 50 years from now, the message is speak truth to power. Always
Yes.
find the light in the darkness. Never give up. You know, and always, if you find yourself an underdog in your community, well, don't be silent for other communities that are underdogs as well.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we're all in this together, and chances are the enemy of one underdog is the same enemy of another underdog.
Absolutely.
So,
Has your definition of success changed since you first started making music?
um, no, not really. I mean, it's, I just want people to respond. I mean, success for me was, I have like 2 songs that have made people cry, and seeing an emotional reaction like that to something I wrote is, um, it's hard to say success, but it's like when you create something about a real topic, like in I Can't Breathe, there's a section where in George Floyd's voice, he talks about his daughter, and when my daughter cries, who's going to kiss her, goodnight. I I played it for a girl at my office and she started crying in the car, like when that section
Oh,
came on. And my song about, Gaza, the children in the Gaza war has made some people cry. So, that's success for me is if I can, emotionally affect somebody with my music, whether it's like two people or 20,000 people, it's success. That's what I want to do.
I love that. Um, Fun question. And I don't know if I ever asked you this
Oh,
one,
good.
but if you could collaborate with any artist, living or dead, who would it be and why?
That's a great question. Um, that's the thing. It's like, my number one, like all time, in like rock pop genre, is Paul McCartney.
Okay,
So
nice.
like, naturally I would like die to just like do something with Paul. But do I really, is he the best collaborator for somebody like Springsteen more up my alley? Because people describe my music as like 70s Springsteen meets 80s Guns N' Roses,
Mm,
so, but yeah, Paul, I mean, to me is one of the great songwriters, musical artists of the last 100 years. I put him and Duke Ellington at the top of the list. And then, go 100 years before that, Beethoven, they're probably
nice.
my three tops: Beethoven, Duke Ellington, Paul McCartney.
Oh, that's good. That's a good lineup.
That would be fun. Beethoven.
Yeah, that would be actually. I'm sure to be amazing.
Yeah, it'd
That's awesome.
be like a scene from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yes, absolutely. If you could sit down with a young songwriter who's afraid to be authentic, what advice would you give them?
Um, be yourself. I mean, just don't be who you think you should be. I mean, be who you are. I mean, there's some great, authentic, big time, artists under the age of 30 now, like Billie Eilish is very authentic and she's, super talented. Olivia Rodrigo is another one I think is like super authentic and just really, and she's not afraid, and they both like gut, at times. They don't make it the center of the world like I did, but they speak up, but their music is pretty authentic, and that's what I
Yeah,
like. These other big pop stars that are more generic, a little less authentic sounding, but I tend to gravitate to the ones that are just like really authentic. Like Ed Sheeran's, I would consider like very authentic. Bad
yeah,
Bunny is very authentic.
yeah.
So
So, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about this in the music terms, and I'm curious what that is because I'm not really music savvy, but I do hear it on social media or do I hear from certain like artist friends. But I never really cared to ask the difference. So, my friend was telling me about, there's certain artists that are music plants, and then there's certain artists that are just artists. And I'm just like, what is a music plant? Like, what is that term? And where, like, who
I never
made that
heard
up?
that before. I don't know.
Really?
What's a music plant? Milli Vanilli? Are they music plants? I don't know what that means.
Well, like that just comes out of nowhere. Like I guess that's the thing. It's like they just you never really see their like when they first started. Like how you see about Destiny's Child and Beyonce and you hear the whole like story arc,
Yeah.
but then there's this artist that just come from nowhere. And you're like, "Whoa, I'd never heard of them before." They just like kind of show up and
Yeah,
they're
they're
really good.
yeah. So one thing interesting, like I noticed about the music industry now versus like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, is we don't seem to have as many one hit wonders anymore because like the executives and the producers are more on top of it right now. So if somebody strikes gold, they hire like a boardroom full of like songwriters and producers to get like 10 to 15 different ideas to make sure the next project is just, is even better than the last one.
Oh,
And I think some of these people find, like, a young artist that, well, maybe it's the way they look or the way they do something, and just probably plant them in to some good songwriting. And they're probably the Milli Vanilli, like, just, as long as they can sing and dance and hold their own. Yeah, this could be our next star, because at the end of the day, it's corporate. They want the next big, thing. They want the next, you know uh like, what's the Korean, those boy bands, and, like,
oh, like
those seem like they're plants, like, where they do a
yeah,
casting call, or, like, in sync, like, like, and they're all talented. I'm not saying they're not talented, but they're
yeah,
clearly, you know auditioned and put together for a certain
you're
reason.
right.
But I think, where it was like, to your point, where it was like boy bands and girl bands, like the Spice Girls back then. Now it's like
Yeah,
individuals that are just plants, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a new thing.
yeah. It's a new
Music
thing, and I
plant,
think
it's a new thing.
it's yeah. There's so many terms. I'm trying to keep up with the lingo here. It's like, whoa, everything's changing
Yeah,
so
like,
fast.
I can assure you, I'm not a music plant. I'm just a weed. So
No, no, I appreciate your time, and thank you so much for making music that matters and that moves people, and that yes, have fun music too, but that's important still. That's an important factor. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, we need that more than ever. More than ever. So, so what's next? What's something down the pipeline that we should be looking out for from coming from you?
Well, so Starstruck, the full album, just came out. I'll be promoting that all summer and probably the rest
All
of the
right.
year. For every song on the album, I do unique artwork for that song to kind of, make it a little more fun. Um, and, like, for I Can't Breathe, I had my friends of professional photographers, so we did a whole photo shoot for that cover.
Nice. Nice.
Whereas there's the black kid standing in front of a mugshot with it, wearing a white mask in a black and white photo. So, I have other artworks that are in the process that'll get released over the summer that coincide with the theme of each song. So, for, like, I have a Bible song on my album called "The Stranger" that was directly inspired by Matthew. About the stranger. You were hungry, I gave you something to eat. You were thirsty, I gave you
Mm-hmm.
something to drink. And the song, for me, the Matthew, that verse was uh, perfectly reflected. I think the hypocrisy of a lot of right wing Christians now, who aren't very Christian. You know, they
Yeah.
now, there's a line. Now I'm sick, and you watch me bleed. That's where we're at now with some of these people. They lost touch with, you know the stranger from the Bible. And I want to see people get back to that. So for the artwork, I took that famous photo of Donald Trump where he posed with the Bible, and he held
Oh
the Bible
yeah.
up and down.
Yeah.
So the artwork for the artwork for the stranger is that photo of him holding the Bible upside down. But I turned Donald Trump upside down and put the Bible right up for the artwork.
Ah,
So I'm kind of
nice.
like taking the problem and fixing it. So just for, it's kind of like fun, and, and I think it gets the point across.
Oh, also, where can people find you on social media to follow everything you have coming up?
All my handles are Rourke, Rourke _official. So that's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. TikTok, I need to start doing some more videos. I'm going to start doing some performance videos with some guys
Nice.
and releasing that as well. I've been slow to get in front of the camera. I'm a little camera shy, but I will be doing that over the summer as well. And yeah, look for Rourke _official.
Awesome. Thank you again, and always a pleasure. And definitely come back anytime, anytime.
I will. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.